How's it going, everybody? I'd like to thank everybody for their continued support, new subscribers as well. It has been a very, very busy last week or so. So I've been busily working on different projects and trying to not let my head explode with all the different stuff that I've got going on. So I've actually received quite a few messages via email and other methods of social media, and so I wanted to kind of recap some of the stuff that I've been getting lately. I haven't had a chance to really respond to anything as of recently, so I wanted to get out there and put something together real quick that was gonna basically answer a bunch of questions that everybody had, and so that's what this video is here for. So we're going to start from the top of the list and work our way down, just so that I can hit all of the. I had to go through and compile the list so that I'd be able to answer a bunch of questions all at one fell swoop instead of answering a bunch of individual questions with only one person receiving the answer. So we're going to work our way down from the top and go from there. So first question came in via email and says, how does I&E determine what you produce? I&E really doesn't determine what I produce. Originally, there was a lot of getting them the information and the putting things together for the courses that I had produced and that they were taking from YouTube and getting them that information. So really, there wasn't a whole lot of putting anything together regarding the new production. So I had to build the courses out, explain to them how they were built out, and any of the documentation that came with it. So there's a lot of that. They don't come to me and say, okay, Rob, you're going to produce course A, B, and C, and you have until October 31st to get it done. They don't do that. What they normally do is they actually have this way of, and last time I did, I think it was a Google Doc, if I'm not mistaken. They actually have this Google Doc where I can go to them and say, hey, I think this would be a cool course to produce. And so I take that information, I send it to them, and then the people that I work with directly at I&E, and there's a couple of people I work with directly. I don't work with Brian McGann, so if you think I'm on a call with him once a week, I very rarely ever talk to him, other than the fact that we've talked through Twitter and email a few times, but other than that, I really don't talk to him very often. For those of you that were wondering, no, I did not attend Cisco Live. There was a lot of questions about that. A lot of people were hoping that I was going to go, which I'm actually really, really surprised that people actually wanted to know if I was going, because it's I just don't. So I'm hoping to go next year for sure, and I'll let everybody know if I'm going to Cisco Live next year. I don't know where they're holding it. They're in Vegas right now. A couple of my coworkers actually went to Vegas, so I was actually kind of jealous of them, but I understand that I just got started this new position about a month ago, so it's actually pretty good. So I go to I&E and say, hey, I think this would be a cool course to produce. I put a little, paragraph together about what the course will be and what it'll cover, and I send that to them. One of the things I like about I&E is they give the authors the freedom to pretty much produce whatever they think is relevant to the industry. So for me, I do a lot of route switch and service provider work. So that to me is, I reached out to I&E. I've got a couple of my point of contacts out there, and they, they're like, okay, cool, let's do it. Early on, the process was pretty slow. Usually it might take them a little bit of time, ballpark maybe a month, for it to make it through they have I don't know what their term is, I forget it off the top of my head, but they have a technical review board, if you will, where they go to, I don't know exactly what they do or how they handle that, it's done internally, and then they reach back out to me, and everything that I've wanted to produce, they've wanted to go ahead and move forward with that. And then we sign a contract, and then I produce the content underneath their label, and away it goes. So it is legally binding, so you'll never see any of their content on my YouTube channel. Even though I haven't been given permission to put out 1 or 2 videos, I just don't. My YouTube channel is for my content. So anything that I produce where I have producing it for INE to go in their library, I don't put it on my channel. This way here, there's no misunderstanding where you might think you're going to get more than what you've been giving. So you'll see a couple of videos that I'll produce that'll be on their YouTube channel, and that's their YouTube channel, and it's in their library. So so they don't tell me what to produce. I usually go to them. And if you've been following my Twitter feed this past week or so, this is my Twitter handle. If you would like to reach out to me or follow or what have you, or tweet to me, feel free. I am more than happy to. I'll answer questions and I'll let people know what's going on, give you feedback, whatnot. I am in the process of recording CCNP Service Provider, and I am hoping that that'll be done here in the next week or two. And I would like to get that knocked out and then go from there. Another question was, are there going to be more technology-focused courses coming out? I actually had to go back and ask for clarification on technology-focused because there's a lot of technologies out there, and I wasn't sure what the individual meant by this. And he was referring to, or I think it was a she. I honestly don't remember. This is this is just an ignorance on my part. There are a lot of Indian names, people that come from India that they like to reach out to me. A lot of times, if I don't see a face, or if you've got some sort of avatar attached to your name, it's hard for me to determine whether it's a guy or a girl. So, and sometimes there's no face attached to the avatar. That's maybe it's corn cob for all I know. But if I don't know. It was either a guy or a girl reached out to me and asked me about that, and when I responded to them, they basically wanted to know if I was going to do any more like layer 2 technologies or specific technology focused things like VLANs on Nexus and things like that. And I said no, it's going to be right now. It's basically certification focused, even though I'm trying to produce more content that is certification agnostic, meaning it doesn't tie to the actual certification itself. So I'm teaching you the technology so that you know them, so that you go take a test, you're going to know how to answer the questions because you'll know how OSPF routing works. I hope to soon, but we'll see how that plays out. I had to reach out to INE. I haven't had a call with them in a while to determine anything, so we'll see exactly how that plays out. I put a lot of stuff on hold because I was busy with some projects and I just needed time to do course development, and now that most of my course development is complete, I can go through and start creating more content. Another question was, how has the CCAA changed your career? Well, it definitely has had some positive, and it also has some negative impact. Negative impact, there is a new level of expectation when somebody knows you're a CCIE that you should be able to get certain things to work, and stuff like that. And that is true in some regards, but it also had there hasn't been very many negative impacts. There's only been a couple. A lot of the positive impacts are, and I don't usually bring this up. If somebody usually will bring it up for me. And I don't work in the consulting industry anymore. I actually work directly for a Fortune 500 company in the Milwaukee area. And I also still do some service provider work on the side. So a lot of the stuff that I do right now doesn't focus on consulting at all. So a lot of the benefit to that is I can talk with a customer, or I could talk, we'll have vendors come in and, stuff like that. And I won't bring up that I'm a CCIE. I just don't bring it up. We'll have, like, if we're on the topic of certification, we'll talk about it. And I'm not against talking about it, but I don't bring it up to, like, wow somebody. I don't do that. If someone's trying to explain to me something technical, and I'll kind of laugh when I said, I'll be polite about it. I'll be like, well, I appreciate you going through that with me, but I said, but you don't need to. I already know how that works. And like, oh, okay. And then they're like, are CCNA maybe? And and I accept that. I'm like, no, I'm a little higher than that. And they're like, oh, CCNP. I said, no, keep going up. And they're like, oh, wow. I'm like, yeah. I don't bring about it. I don't brag about it. Not that it's bragging, but I don't really have a reason to bring it up. But a lot of times, people that work around me will say, "Oh yeah, well," especially when I was in the consulting industry, project managers would, like, if they really wanted to put a customer's there might be a little bit of nervousness or anxiety on a particular project, they would say, well, Rob is a CCAE. He'll be able to handle that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. It was more or less a safety blanket for customers to know that their project was being worked on by a CCIE, and that angle on it. So it really depends on the situation you want to look at it in. Um, it hasn't had a financially negative impact, um, so it benefits me in a lot of different ways. If you notice, I do participate in the INE online community. I do respond to things as I can. A lot of times I don't answer questions um, because of the fact that there is a regular group of people that do that, and they do a good job of answering questions. So I don't really feel like I need to stick my 2 cents out there and answer questions and stuff like that. If I can, I will. But it will definitely help you out no matter where you go. It's a way for you to validate your skills for one. So it's um, one of those things where if you utilize it correctly, one of the things that I found from moving from working for a partner to working for, I don't want to say a customer, but that's really what I do. I work for an enterprise. Is um, if you're not already a humble person, meaning that you don't lift yourself up. You try to take other people, and if they're struggling with something or they're trying to figure something out, you help them figure that out. You work with them and you try to help them learn something new that they may not have known and stuff like that. So a lot of times there's a large level of humility, and it's like, yeah, sure, bring me on board. I'll help wherever I can. If you need anything, reach out. Make yourself available, and basically, I don't want to say humanize, but there is a stigma in the industry where people think that just because you have a CCAE, you shouldn't be asked questions. So it really depends on the situation, and it's one of those things where you don't want to make people feel insignificant, because if you're doing that, you're just being a jerk, and that's not cool. So another question I received just this past week from a person that failed their CCAA written exam at Cisco Live. He says, "How do I feel about the CCAA written exam?" And to be honest with you, um, I don't really know how I feel about it, because it's been almost 2 years since I've taken it. So because I passed the lab in October of last year, I haven't had to take it. I could recertify now if I wanted to. It's been 6 months since I've taken the test. I could go take it and see. Um, I did really well on the written exam when I took it. I scored in the upper 900s, but I had spent a significant amount of time studying for it, because I was using the written preparation as a way to launch myself into the lab prep, because I felt if I did a good enough theoretical breakdown and study prep, that the lab preparation would be that much easier. So when I took the exam, I thought the questions were somewhat fair. I mean, there were some things that they would lead you. Sometimes you were given more than one right answer, but only one answer to select, and a couple of them were a couple of them were really, really good answers. But one of the things that I've often told people, even non CCA level exams, is there's a right answer. There's absolutely a right answer, and that right answer might look, and I think that's where Cisco's going with this. Um, the exam is, in my opinion, it is, and like I said, it's been 2 years since I've taken it, so I don't know what the new questions look like. I'm sure they refresh it every so often, because people take it and they're going to retake it and retake it and retake it until they pass. But at least the questions I received on the written exam, they were, I wouldn't say they were too far out there. They made a lot of sense to me. But I guess that's just however you want to look at it. But to my opinion, um, the CCAA level exams, whether it's the written or the lab, they're not real world tests. So they're not testing you on real world designs or real world implementation. They're testing you on your technical understanding of the technology, your depth of understanding. So that's one of the things that most people miss on this. And so, even when I see people that have, taken the written and they're like, oh my God, it's horrible. It's kind of the point, if you ask me. I have a difference of opinion on that, and I see a lot of people like I was reading a forum, and I won't even go into details to who was answering or where I read the forum, but I saw a couple of posts where the person wasn't even a CCAE, but he had taken the CCAA written exam to recertify his NA and NPs, and which makes sense. But he was complaining about it, and I'm like, well, to be honest with you, dude, you're not a CCIE, so you're not to say that you couldn't, but until you achieve your number, you really, in my opinion, you have no validity complaining about the CCAA written exam because you haven't proven your expert level understanding at the lab level, which is more complicated than the written, and way more complicated than the written exam ever will be. If you think the written exam is difficult, the lab exam will make the written exam look like a day in the park, to be honest with you. So the written exam is wrote the way that it's written for a reason. And to be honest with you, that's just my opinion on the situation. Not everybody's going to agree with me on that, but that's why this is why we're a free country. Well, at least the U.S. is. It's a free country, and I have the freedom of speech. I can say what I want. I won't take a written exam for probably another year because I don't really need to. I'm working on CCNP service provider right now, and that's my main focus. So, yeah, I think the CCAA written is, I don't think I don't think Cisco is gonna make any changes to that, and it's written the way that it's written because it's supposed to be an expert level, theoretical exam. I mean, you are basically tested to the expert level on different technologies, and they vary. I mean, I remember a lot of the questions from the test, and to me, a lot of the answers jumped right out at me. But that goes back to, you know, um, how you study. And there's no golden answer for that. To be honest with you, I don't, and this is no offense to anybody that produces material for written exams, but I don't read any of the Cisco Press documentation. Like the official certification guide. Um, I did. I have both V4 and V5. I have the I'm looking right at them right now. I can see them from where I'm sitting. I've read both of them. And I can be honest with you, the information covered in the books, I really didn't get tested on in an exam. However, by reading through the documentation on Cisco's website, I got more information pulled from there than I did from the certification guides. So, in my opinion, if you're going to be studying for a written exam like CCAA written, spend your time on the documentation. Read through there. There were so many questions that when I read them, it was like verbatim. Like, a particular question might be worded, if you have a route reflector and you're trying to peer, but the link between them goes down, and the route reflector client loses its peering, what could be the problem? And well, duh, it's not the loopback 0 wasn't the update source. To me it was obvious, but I guess it really depends on the person. I don't think it's too bad, but then again, that's just my opinion on the situation. Another question came from a gentleman here in the U.S., and this was a direct message Facebook question, because I'm not sure which direction to go after CCNA. And I kind of chuckled, and I said, well, and this goes for anybody that's CCNA level, maybe even CCNP. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you do day to day? And he told me he's more of a NOC engineer, so he takes care of internet circuits and VLAN changes, port up, down, things like that, port security, things like that. But I said, okay, where do you want to go? You know where you're at. What direction do you want to head in? And he wants to head to data center, and he wants to start getting a CCNA in data center and working his way up that track. I said, well, I think you just answered your own question. In my opinion, the way you should go after CCNA is the direction you feel, or wherever you're interested. To be honest with you, obviously you're going to want to know the if you're being, if you're working on service provider specific stuff or security or wireless, well, get stronger in that area. It'll make your job easier. To be honest with you, the more you know, the better, the easier your job gets. At least mine is. There's so many things that when people throw routing and switching problems at me, it's a piece of cake. Now I'm in a newer environment. Well, I should say I'm in a new environment. The environment's been around for probably 30 years, but it's been upgraded in the past 30 years. But the network infrastructure has been there 30 years. It's evolved over time. When I'm jumping on a router, it's just knowing where to what. If somebody tells me this particular router needs to get this particular thing going, I know where to go and how to configure it. But it's because I know the technology. But go learn what you find interesting. Like if you want to be a network guy, but you also want to deal a little with VMware, go learn, network virtualization. Go learn NSX. If you're interested in one of the things that I did is I went through and I got my data center virtualization VCP. That's great. I like having it, but I don't really do anything VMware. I know how to work with it, and I will probably have to start studying for my research here in another. Actually, I don't know when I have to actually recertify. I'll have to go double check VMware's website. But, go get a couple of CCNAs. I think CCNA security and CCNA data center, and then maybe CCNA wireless if you're so inclined, or CCNA voice. I would go, if I would have done it a little bit differently, I would have gone CCNA, CCNA security, CCNA wireless, CCNA. At the time, I wasn't interested in service provider, so I probably would have gone voice. And then go from there, I would have probably gone the CCNP track for each one of those. I have a really good friend of mine. His name's Phil. He's a CCNP in route switch, security, voice, and wireless. So I bow down to him because he's a really good guy, knows his stuff, and so I'm like, okay, there's questions I have for him, and he answers them. He's really good about doing that. But which direction you should go? Which direction should you go? Well, it depends on what you want to learn, what you want to know. If you like voice, go learn voice. If you like security, go do security. Another question was, will there be more material for service provider? There will be. I'm actually, I have produced a good portion of the SP route exam already. I am going through that, and I am putting I'm actively tweeting out when I've finished certain sections of that exam. So I didn't until just recently. I was aiming all of my tweets at INE. I am now because INE followed me back. So I will be tweeting out as I produce the content, and I'm not releasing the courses to INE until I've taken it past the test. So I'm hoping in another month or so that I'll have taken and passed CCNP service provider, and then I will go ahead and release the content at that time. It's being produced and rendered. It's a lot of the videos are ready to go. It just haven't been sent to INE site to be done yet. I've got some stuff to work out with INE yet and how we're going to do that. But I know they're going to want it because there is no CCNP service provider for INE. I produce CCNA service provider. They don't have CCNP service provider right now. So I did get, and the only reason I'm moving forward with that is because INE basically, a couple of people internally told me that they would like that course, but there was like a stipulation to where they wanted me to have the certification in order to teach the course. So what better way to teach it than to actually go through the labs, and that's what you see me do in a lot of the videos. So it's really good stuff. The course production is coming along very, very well, and things are really, really good. So beyond that, I will be producing as I go into CCAA service provider, I'll be doing a written exam for that is my goal, and then a actual lab preparation course. So I'll be going through all the technologies on the blueprint that are relevant and will be needed to be configured, and I'll go through and I'll be labbing those up and testing them out to make sure that we know what's going on and going from there. But other than that, guys, that is pretty much it. I've been I've been very busy producing, building the courses for NP service provider, and I'm really happy with how they're coming out right now. I'm shooting for a. I'm hoping by September that the videos are done and ready to go. Now this is 4 individual courses. I'm producing all 4 courses back to back to back. So it's going to go service provider route, advanced route, core, and then edge. And in the edge course, I'll be teaching what's on the blueprint plus quite a bit more. We're basically going to be building out an entire service provider and working on building it out and working through it, making sure we know everything that we need to know, and going from there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to actually getting it knocked out. But until that point in time comes, we have to be, realistic about our expectations and, go through that. It's going to take a long time to record. If I had to estimate how long each course is going to be, I'd have to guesstimate probably in the area of about 40 hours per course. But I honestly don't know. There's a lot of material to cover and a lot of detail to go into. So that's what's going on right now. So stay tuned. Again, if anybody wants to connect with me on social media, that is my Twitter handle at RikerRob. Definitely, I'll put that in the link description. Also, if you are looking to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to do that. LinkedIn's got a stupid verification, so if you want to use the rriker82 at yahoo.com email, you can just throw my email in there, and that'll help you, and then you'll send me the LinkedIn. I have no problem at all connecting with anybody. I'm in the introductory video for all the CCP courses, which is also going to be the last video that I record is the introductory video. I'll start throwing my Twitter handle in there so people can connect with me and we can chat about things. If you feel so inclined, drop a comment in here, direct message me, however you want to do it. It's up to you on how you want to go about doing it. Again, thanks to everyone for continuing to be supportive of the channel and for their continued your patience for all the stuff that's going on. I promise I will be wrapping up CCP V2 Switch soon. I got started with it and then I ran into a lot of problems with viral, so I'm trying to get those figured out. At the same time, I'm trying to produce an entire CCP course for service provider. So, and then I have a couple of other minor CCAA courses that I need to get knocked out, and I'm trying to get those done as quickly as I can. Beyond that, again, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for all the support, and till next time, guys, take it easy.